उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुसे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, yesterday we discussed from chapter 2, entitled Contents of Gita Summarized, and verse number 14. Matra spursastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhada agama apayino anityastam sutikshasva bharata. So, in this verse, Lord Krishna encouraged Arjuna to go on tolerating the dualities related with material body and go on executing his prescribed duties. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception. And this is very important. So they arise from sense perception. All the these dualities, happiness, distress, and this winter, summer, cold, heat and cold, shita, ushna, sukha, dukkha. So they arise from sense perception, ocean of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed because these dualities, they are not going to affect the self. The effect of these dualities are only over this material body. So, considering these facts, that is the meaning of sense perception. Perception means one perceives it. And where does the perception happen? Within the mind. So it has nothing to do with the soul proper, not even this material body. Yesterday we discussed that all the happiness, feelings of happiness and distress, pains and pleasures are not experienced by this material body because the material body is made up of material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and these elements are dull, inert, so it has no life, no consciousness. So how is it possible that it can experience pains and pleasures? The pains and pleasures are not experienced by this dull material body. And also spirit soul, which is within the body, which is our real identity, or we are actually spirit soul. So we are a spirit soul, which is spiritual in nature. So the spirit soul also cannot experience the material pains and pleasures. The spirit soul being transcendental. That is the meaning of transcendental or divine, divinity. So divine nature of spirit soul or transcendental nature of spirit soul does not allow it to experience anything material. So then who is experiencing the pains and pleasures of this material body? Who is the cause of, who gets affected? So actually neither the body nor the spirit soul gets affected, or also the mind is also a part of material body. Mind is also an material element. The mind is an element explained in the Bhagavad Gita being material. भूमिरापो अनलो वायु खम मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इति यम में भिन्ना प्रकृतिरष्टदा. These five elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind, intelligence, and ego. All these eight elements, they are material in nature, so it cannot uh, experience pains and pleasures. These material elements, including mind and intelligence, are also dull in nature. So there is no question of experiencing, having pains and pleasure. So who experiences it is an illusory conception. The false ego, when the soul acquires the covering of false ego, misconception. False ego means misidentification, considering oneself to be this material body. That is known as false conception. So when a living entity considers himself to be this material body, at that time he unnecessary or in his illusory conception he experiences pains and pleasures. As soon as one gives up this illusory conception that I am not this body, he becomes aloof from this material dualities. That means he is not affected by material dualities, pains and pleasures, happiness and distress. So we discuss about this. So when one can understand this, that the material changes, happiness and distress, disturbances are not going to affect me, the soul, then one can go on executing his duty on the level of spirit soul. That means spiritual duties, uh, prescribed spiritual duties, devotional service to Krishna without being disturbed. That is the way one can become established in the performance of his spiritual duties without being disturbed. And that is what is the meaning of learning to tolerate the dualities of material body. So when Krishna says, Tam titikshasya bharata, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. The meaning is that in spite of disturbances, dualities, whether some happiness comes or distress comes, one should not give up the execution of his spiritual duties. He should continue to perform his spiritual duties, which will enable him to become liberated from material existence. So when now in this particular verse, 15 number verse, Krishna says, when one is able to tolerate the dualities or material changes, material things, material experiences, and in spite of any dualities, one is able to execute his spiritual duties properly, then what happens? Then such a person becomes eligible for liberation. That is the bare minimum qualification to get liberated from this material existence. This is explained in this verse, today's verse. Yam hi na vitayante te purusham purusharshabha samadukha sukham dhiram swamritvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Yam hina vyatiyante means although there may be causes of disturbances, but a person who is not disturbed, yam hina vyatiyante ete about because of all these dualities, purusham purusharshabha, such a person, sama dukkha sukham dhiram, he remains some in dukkha and sukha, means whether it is miserable situation or it is a happy situation. In both the situation, he remains equipoised. He remains some unaltered. So, what is the meaning of remaining some in equilibrium? That does not mean that he is not experiencing happiness and distress, because as long as this material body is there, one is affected by this concept of duality, happiness and distress. So remaining some means on the platform of spiritual knowledge, she understands very well that whether I am in miserable situation or whether I am in a happy situation, it has no effect upon me, the soul proper. So this very understanding makes him to situate himself in an equilibrium position. And what is the meaning of being situated in samatha or equilibrium position? That means he remains on that platform, and he does not deviate from the execution of his duties. He continues to execute his duties. For example, it's very simple to understand. Sometimes your mind may be encouraged to chant Hare Krishna. So you feel like chanting more and more and more. So you chant not only 16 rounds, you chant 20 rounds, 25 rounds, 32 rounds. Suppose you have 4 or 5 hours of time. So you may go on chanting uh, 30 to 40 rounds. But sometimes when your mind is disturbed, even though you may have time, sufficient time, but still you are unable to chant. Why? Because we are not properly situated in the platform of spiritual knowledge. But one who has this spiritual knowledge that I am not this body, and no amount of material circumstances, whether pleasurable or miserable, is going to affect me. So he does not care for the disturbances of mind. If the mind is happy, then also he chants. If he has whatever time he has, suppose you have 3 hours of time. If mind is happy, then also he will take his bead bag and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Wow, it's very wonderful. But if mind is not happy, miserable, somebody has chastised you, insulted you, and you are broken heart, then also the person, he knows the mind is disturbed, but I am not this mind. So let the mind remain disturbed. Let me execute my duty. I have got these 3 hours, so I will just go on chanting Hare Krishna. Although mind does not like to hear the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, mind is just disturbed. But the person situated on the platform of spiritual knowledge, he doesn't care about the disturbances of mind. He just goes on chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Because mind cannot check your chanting. Mind cannot uh, force you to stop chanting. Mind has no power to catch your tongue, that oh, you cannot chant. Mind cannot do this. That is your freedom, your free will. Uh, you can apply it. Suppose sometime you just remember this fact. Sometimes, and it will come. Uh, we become perplexed and disturbed time to time. This is the nature of this material world. Nature of this, the influence of Kali. Influence of Kali. So we should not be so much disturbed that why I'm getting disturbed. We should not be disturbed thinking that why I get easily disturbed. Uh, why I'm so much short tempered. I become angry so easily. Why? Okay, that is your nature. Because of previous karma, you got this particular nature that you become agitated very easily and you become angry very easily. So let's forget it. But you are not that. That is the functioning of mind. Your mind is right now, um, uh, because of previous karma, the mind is tuned in such a way. That is prarabdha. Prarabdha means you have already gotten this material body, particular nature of this material body and nature of mind because of previous karma, which we cannot change right now. Of course, change can be done, but we cannot change without becoming fully Krishna conscious. So, if because of the previous karma, we acquired some prarabdha, we acquired some nature of material body, of nature of this mind. So, without we should situate ourselves on the platform of spiritual knowledge and act what is to be done at that particular time. What is the best to do in that particular time? If we can understand this much, then we are properly. The only best thing we can do in any particular time is to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, to remember him, to chant his holy name. That is the only best utilization of time. So if anybody, even if you are feeling very angry, so that anger is within the mind. You just take beat bag and chant Hare Krishna, let the mind remain angry. Somebody has insulted your mind is completely disturbed. Let the mind remain disturbed. After the same mind, after some time, maybe after 1 hour, 2 hour, the mind becomes pacified also. Because that is the nature. Sankalpa and Vikalpa, these two things are explained. Sankalpa means to accept, Vikalpa means to reject. That is the function of mind. Sometimes it will accept some situation and sometimes it will reject. Sometimes the mind will accept somebody. Okay, he's very nice person. He's my best friend, nice friend. And another time when something happens, no, he is very bad person. I hate this person. That is the nature of mind. Sometimes the mind will accept, sometimes the mind will reject. So why should we become disturbed by the agitation of mind? It's like mind. That's why mind has been compared to a small child. Sometimes a small child, when the father or mother, they are with the child and they are walking on the street, this market area. So child sometimes the child goes very peacefully, very happily. Yes, mummy, you are very nice, like this. That time also mother is not disturbed. Okay, हाँ अभी तो अच्छा अच्छा बोल रहा है, फिर कुछ समय बाद बोलेगा बहुत गंदा. After sometimes he walks and he says something. And Mama, I want this. Mother says, no. This is not good. We don't have sufficient money. So no, I want this. I want this. So then after some time, the same child becomes angry upon the mother. But the mother remains as it is. She knows that is the nature of the child. Sometimes he will become very happy and he will come on my lap and kiss me. And sometimes he will become angry and he will slap me. Mother knows this thing. That's why she does not gets bewildered. Similarly, a person who is situated on the platform of spiritual knowledge, he can analyze the situation of mind. He can observe the activities of mind, his own mind, not others' mind. We have to observe our own activities of our own mind. So, a person who is situated on spiritual knowledge, he analyzes, he can see very well that, yeah, my mind is like this, like a naughty small child. Sometimes the mind becomes very happy, sometimes the mind becomes very disturbed, sometimes the mind likes the particular situation, and the same situation the mind rejects sometimes. What is this nonsense? So if the mind is so flickering like this, why should I care about the mind? Why should not I become fixed up in execution of the instructions of the Supreme Lord? What Krishna has told me to do, I must do that. Why should I follow the mind's dictate? I should become aloof from the mental dictation and I should follow the dictation of Krishna. And what is Krishna's dictation? Krishna says, Man bana bho mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, serve me. So all the time we have the opportunity to do this. Always think of Krishna. And you can do. Yeah, suppose somebody may be a student, somebody may be working in some job, business. At that time also, this verse can be applied. If you are always conscious of this very fact that I belong to Krishna, Krishna is my master, I am his servant. So by his arrangement, I am engaged in such and such manner. I am a student, I am a girl, I am a boy, I am a husband, I am a wife. I am engaged in such and such kind of job and business. But my business is to always remember him. I am his eternal servant. So I am doing all these things so that I may develop devotional service for him. I may develop uh, bhakti for him. So if one is living in such consciousness, it doesn't matter for him whether he is in material world or spiritual world. But of course, it requires spiritual advancement. Spiritual realization is required, but we are on the process. We are trying our best. So the beginning is to understand this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. If one can very thoroughly understand this knowledge imparted by the Supreme Lord, then in any situation he can remain properly established on a spiritual platform without getting affected, without being disturbed. Although the mind and the body may be disturbed, but uh, uh, the person will not get disturbed. Mind may be disturbed. He may be seen that he is agitated, he is anxiety, he is angry. But the person is completely aloof from this because he does not leave the devotional service of Krishna. And what is the proof that we are not disturbed because of the disturbances of mind and the body? The proof is that even though mind sometimes may become disturbed, the body may be disturbed, and because of these disturbances, the materially or externally, there may be some kind of up and downs also. That may also happen. But if we are remain engaged, if we are still engaged in our performance of our devotional service, then that means we are undisturbed because of disturbance of mind and the body. And when one is situated in such kind of consciousness, that kind of person becomes eligible for liberation. That is the eligibility. And if one can lead his entire life in such a manner, always being situated in the spiritual platform, then one is sure to get liberated in this very birth. Srila Prabhupada, that's why Srila Prabhupada said to one disciple, he was feeling very disturbed because of some kind of agitation. So Prabhupada said, I also feel disturbed. My mind also becomes disturbed. But of course, that kind of disturbance, Prabhupada's disturbance was of another kind. It's not the kind of disturbance of a conditioned soul. A conditioned soul is disturbed because of lusty desires, lust, anger, greed, all these things. But Prabhupada said, I'm managing such a big organization. So my mind also becomes disturbed sometimes. So many attacks, so many oppositions are there. I'm living in a remote part of world, and somebody is attacking over my disciple, especially when this Jew story was going on. So Prabhupada, wherever he was, his consciousness, his mind was always there in Mumbai Juhu. Uh, because that person, Mr. Nair, he was so much harassing devotees. So Prabhupada told that I also feel disturbed. I cannot also sleep in the night. Of course, he was not sleeping also. Hardly 2, 3 hours he was just lying down on the bed. And that too, he was absorbed in Krishna consciousness. But because of managing this society, sometimes he used to become disturbed. But then Prabhupada said, so these disturbances are there within my mind also. But I try myself to I try myself to keep myself on a spiritual platform. I try to always keep myself on a spiritual platform. That's why I'm not affected. That's why. That's why, in spite of all kinds of disturbances, so many disciples, and sometimes those disciples, they used to act like very nonsensically also. They Prabhupada gave sannyas so early to few disciples. And sometimes some of the sannyasis, they used to fall down. They used to engage in some kind of this for breaking four regulative principles. So it gives so much pain and anxiety to the spiritual master. But still, he was very bold, and he did not give up preaching. And he was just going on preaching and preaching, initiating disciples, encouraging whoever came in front of him for spiritual advancement. And he remained very equipoised. And Prabhupada, his daily schedule was also, he used to follow everything very nicely. Morning till night, translation, guiding devotees, disciples, meeting with people, encouraging, writing letters, meeting with this government officials, temple construction, so many things he was doing. But all the disturbances was coming, but still, so that is the perfect stage of self-realization. Srila Prabhupada, uh, he is an ideal example of Sthit Pragya, uh, which is mentioned, which will come in the second chapter later on. Sthit Pragya means one who is self-realized, one who is fully situated on a spiritual platform. So that is the life of Srila Prabhupada. You must read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit. If you read Prabhupada Lilamrit, you will understand how Srila Prabhupada acted. Then we can also get inspiration in spite of all the disturbances, how we can go on executing our spiritual duties without getting affected. And in this way, one who executes his prescribed duties on a spiritual platform, then he becomes completely eligible for getting liberated from material existence. And this thing has also been spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord Brahma. Tatte nukampa, tatte nukampa su sumukshямana Punjana evatmakritam vipakam tattenukampa susumikshamana Punjana evatmakritam vipakam ऋत्वाग्वपुर्भिर्विदधन् नमस्ते जीवेत यो मुक्तिपदे सदाय भाग जीवेत यो मुक्तिपदे सदाय भाग दाय भाग means the rightful here to the position muktipade to the position of liberation. Lord Brahma says, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Tatyanukampam sumikshamano, always eagerly waiting for the great mercy of the Supreme Lord, and while living in this material world, material body, Punjana eva atmakritam vipakam. Whatever suffering he experiences with this material body and mind, that the devotee, he accepts those suffering, considering it to be the reaction of his own sinful activity, past sinful activity. And at the same time, Ridvagva Purvir Vidadan Namaste, with his heart, words, and Vapu, means body, Vidadan Namaste, uh, he offers complete obeisances. That means she offers his devotional service. Such a person, one who jive one who lives his life in such a manner, Mukti Padesa Daya, he becomes completely eligible for liberation. That is the way one can get liberated from this material existence. Now, this is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam also, 10th canto, 14th chapter, and verse number 8. The same thing has been explained in this particular verse. So, we'll discuss more about it tomorrow. So, if there are any questions, you can ask. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Yes, any question?